I walked in on my stepson during a private moment. What happened next changed our bond forever. True story. When I married my husband, Mark, I knew my life was about to change in more ways than just taking on a new last name. I was also stepping into the life of his 15-year-old son, Dylan. Becoming a stepmom wasn't something I had originally planned for, but love has a way of rewriting all your carefully made plans. At first, Dylan kept his distance. It was clear he wasn't sure what to make of me. I didn't take it personally. After all, I was a stranger stepping into a family that had been through a lot already. His mom had left a few years before, and it was just him and his dad for a long time. I understood I would have to earn his trust, one patient day at a time. I did little things to show I cared, making his favorite dinners, leaving encouraging notes in his backpack, cheering him on at soccer games even if he pretended not to notice. I never forced conversations. I just stayed consistent, quietly showing up, hoping he'd eventually let me into his world. One rainy afternoon, everything changed, though not in the way I ever could have predicted. I had come home early from work. The house was strangely quiet, except for the faint sound of music playing from Dylan's room. I tiptoed down the hallway, planning to grab a quick shower before starting dinner. As I passed his door, I saw it was slightly open, and inside, Dylan was sitting on his bed, facing away from me. At first, I didn't realize what was happening. I just instinctively knocked once and pushed the door a little wider. In that split second, I caught Dylan quickly fumbling with his phone and pulling a blanket over his lap, his face turning bright red. It hit me immediately. He had been in the middle of something private. Something that, while perfectly normal for a teenage boy, still felt incredibly awkward to stumble upon. I felt my own face flush with embarrassment.
Oh,
"I'm sorry, Dylan," I stammered, backing out quickly. I should have knocked louder. I closed the door gently behind me and practically sprinted down the hallway, giving him back his space. Standing in the kitchen a few minutes later, my heart pounded with secondhand embarrassment. Part of me wanted to crawl into a hole, but a bigger part of me realized that if I overreacted, made him feel guilty or ashamed, it could cause real damage to our fragile relationship. He didn't need a lecture. He didn't need awkwardness. He just needed understanding. Later that evening, I found Dylan in the kitchen, sitting silently at the counter, pushing a spoon around in a bowl of soggy cereal. He kept his eyes down, clearly mortified. I took a deep breath, pulled out the chair across from him, and sat down. "Hey, about earlier," I said gently. "You don't have to feel weird about it. Really. It's normal. Everybody deserves their privacy. I should have been more careful." Dylan looked up at me then, a mix of surprise and relief crossing his face. He gave a small, sheepish smile, and although neither of us said much after that, I could feel a weight lift between us. Something had shifted. From that night on, Dylan started coming out of his shell more. He would join Mark and me for movie nights instead of locking himself away in his room. He asked me once if I could help him pick out a birthday gift for a girl he liked, something that stunned me so much I almost dropped the bowl I was holding. He even started asking for advice on things he was too shy to bring up to his dad, little stuff like what kind of deodorant girls liked and whether it was normal to be nervous for a first kiss. Every time he came to me with something personal, I made sure to treat it with respect, remembering how important it was for him to feel safe. I learned that building trust doesn't happen through grand gestures or big speeches. It happens in those tiny moments, the awkward ones, the uncomfortable ones, where you have a choice: shame someone or show them acceptance. I chose acceptance. And Dylan responded with a trust one had once feared I would never earn. Years later, at his high school graduation, when Dylan spotted me in the crowd, he grinned and pointed right at me before tossing his cap in the air. It was a simple gesture, but I understood the depth behind it. I wasn't just a woman who had married his dad anymore. I was family. If you had told me, on that rainy afternoon when I clumsily barged into his room, that the moment would somehow be the turning point in our relationship, I would have laughed. But sometimes, life's most awkward moments are actually life's most important ones, if you handle them with care. I didn't help Dylan that day by fixing anything or offering some dramatic intervention. I helped by doing the simplest, yet hardest thing: respecting him, letting him be human. letting him feel safe. And that kind of help, the quiet, unconditional kind, is what love looks like.